So, this fan fiction has blown up on TikTok, and I decided to read it to see what all the hullabaloo is about. And it's a great story. I love it a lot. As you can see, the notes say here, I'm not sorry. And I love that. So let's go ahead and read this monstrosity of a fan fiction. You've adjusted your scarf a bit. You had been invited up to Dragonspine by your old lab partner, Albedo. You having no idea. Wait, you having no idea? You have no idea why he suddenly needed your help, but you had always enjoyed working with him, so it wouldn't be so hard, right? As you moved slowly towards the location of his camp, you hear the crunch of snow beneath your feet. You didn't know why you felt so nervous about the situation. Whenever Albedo needed you, it was usually something he knew he couldn't get sucrose to do, which was almost nothing. But the idea sort of excited you, due to your enjoyment of experiments usually, but you could never know with him. You soon arrive at Albedo's research camp. Usually, you'd hear at least a few voices in there, Sucrose usually talking to him, but as you walked into the cave, there was nothing. No sound or voice was heard. You sat down. He would likely be here soon. This isn't your first rodeo with Albedo taking a while to show up. You just decided to zone out and think about what strange experiment he's going to be having you do when he shows up. It probably won't be anything harmful, but knowing his ideas, you could never be too sure what's going to happen next. You just wondered if it would be something interesting or if you're there for another drawing session. Ooh, is he gonna draw us like one of his French girls? After a while, you hear the crushing snow under someone's feet. You looked up over at the approaching person and took a sigh of relief. It was Albedo, who was carrying a bottle in one of his hands. You didn't recognize the contents in it, but it was a wine bottle from Dawn Winery, so you were just going to assume he had brought some normal wine. He smiled as he looked at you, before it went back into his usual blank expression. Ah, there you are. I didn't expect you to be here already, Albedo said, as he placed the bottle on his desk. Well, you sent sucrose after me around 6 hours ago, and Mondstadt isn't that far of a run from here. It would just be rude to ignore a friend's invite like that. You replied, standing up and stretching out a bit. You don't know how long you have been sitting there, but it locked up your knees. Albedo nodded and quickly started writing in a book of his. You think of asking him what he needed you for, but you couldn't find the specific words you wanted to say. He seemed to be looking at you as he wrote things down. It was a little bit weird, but once he finished writing, he looked up completely. So, apologies for asking, but isn't it true you've thought about experimenting sexually with the local monsters of Tavat? Albedo asked gently, hesitant to question you. That was a strange question, but it did make your cheeks flush. It wasn't such a foreign concept to your mind. You had thought about them before. One of your favorites to think about recently has been about the metatrills, and you had been observing them for your studies for the last few weeks. They all seem like fatherly and motherly figures for each hilly-turl in their camps. They seemed sweet, not to mention how strong they were to lift their axes or shields. Due to your expression right now, I would assume that your answer is yes, you heard Albedo say, snapping you out of your daydream about the metatrills. Well, yes, that is true, but why would that matter here? You asked, confused about what he would have needed you for. Well, I have been getting information mostly from Captain Kai about possible tips on breeding habits with local monsters, but specifically hydro slimes, Albedo articulated. His voice sounded dry, but quite nervous in his words. I couldn't get anyone to volunteer to let me watch them do this to any creature. It would make anyone uncomfortable, but I trust you not to feel uncomfortable with this idea. Oh. The uncomfortable train had already left the station. You had to think a bit about this. Albedo was pretty much asking to watch you get railed by a slime. You weren't sure this would be a good idea, but you didn't usually get to have sex with other people, and now you were going to have sex with slimes just for an experiment? It sounded strange, but then again, you'd be one of the few people to do this. It already sounded like Kaya probably did. Probably while he was drunk off his ass. Oh, well, by breeding habits, what exactly do you mean? You ask Albedo curiously. I don't think slimes and humans are compatible like that, right? Well, yes, technically no slime could get a human pregnant by normal means. Most slimes can lay eggs in human hosts to protect them. Most of the time they would just preserve their eggs in their element. Some slimes cannot do so. Or some slimes seem to prefer the human host method. It seems that few know of the host method of the slime breeding, or most of the countries would be panicking. It's likely a small sack of people sect. It's likely a small sect of people who ended up enjoying it the first time that they ended up just being near permanent hosts for different kinds of egg slimes, Albedo said as he wrote in his notebook once more. This includes Captain Kaya, who likely did it because he's a masochist who has done most everything to see if we could hurt him. This kind of interests you. Humans in Tibet usually would need to use a sex toy to experience things like oviposition? What? You were kind of interested in such a different form of breeding. You were getting a little flustered now. Albedo seems to notice his increase of strange behavior. He began to write down a few things in his notebook. You just calmed down, not noticing. Well, I think I can do that. You aren't going to post this research anywhere, right? You questioned, not wanting your name to be out there as research partner and monsterfucker. I may include the research in something, but your name will be wiped up of having done anything. I'll likely keep out any information of people being used as human hosts for slimes. It may cause a rise in the people for attempting to fight slimes when they shouldn't, especially people who aren't skilled with any sorts of weapons. Albedo responded quickly. He cared about your safety ahead of anything else. You nodded and agreed to do the job for Albedo, wondering why he didn't have Gaia or someone else who would likely do it. Maybe it's because you're his only reliable test subject, or maybe he just wants to see you get fucked by monsters. Who knows? Shortly after you agreed, he grabbed the bottle and motioned for you to walk with him. You began to follow him, and slowly the two of you left Dragonspine. It was starting to get dark now, and it would be a lot more dangerous around you. You would have less of a chance getting caught by a local adventurer or merchant, or even to be spotted by a Diluc. Soon you got to a small lake. Nothing seemed to be around right now, making you relax a little bit. We're here, Albedo said, putting down some of the objects he had in his hand. He was clearly curious on what was about to occur. You didn't know what you were going to do. There were no slimes here. He quickly saw your confused face, and he shows you the bottle from the local winery. Diluc recently informed me they accidentally created a slime lure when trying to experiment with new wine flavors. I had them make some for me for the excuse that I was seeing what sort of elemental energy brings up what kind of slimes. This should only bring hydro slimes since of how close we are to their location. They're the only they're the only slime local to this lake. But we could possibly see a dendro slime. Albedo started to ramble before catching himself. This is how we'll bring the slimes to us. You nodded as he offered you the drink. You grabbed the wine and took a breath. You were about to head to the water to pour it before he grabbed you. Apologies, but maybe you should be fully undressed before they attract them. They won't notice me. If they notice you, they might attack you instead of what we want them to do. This is just a suggestion. You don't need to listen to me. You took a deep breath and nodded. You understood what he meant. You were sure if things went wrong, you would intervene. You put the bottle on the floor and slowly began removing your clothes, feeling flustered as you did. It felt a little bit weird undressing in front of Albedo. This isn't the first, nor is it going to be the last time you will strip in front of him. Once you were done stripping all of your clothes, you felt the cold air on your skin, feeling a shiver down your spine. It felt cold out here, but you were glad you weren't doing this in Dragonspine. That place is freezing enough with clothes on. You took a deep breath and listened to Albedo's instructions on how to use the slime lure wine. First, you remove the cork. The smell of wine made you feel tingly between your legs. It felt so strange that you knew what you were doing. Yet, you were still going to do it. You began to slowly pour out a small amount of wine. Albedo quickly took the wine from you, recorking it and getting back to the bush he had been hiding in to prevent the slimes from attacking him. After a few minutes, a horde of hydro slimes hopped over and noticed you. At first, they seemed a little confused. Probably weren't one of the groups that Albedo had mentioned that preferred human egg hosts. Slowly, they realized what you were there for and came closer, moving down on your knees closer to the hydro slime's level. One of the smaller ones nuzzled against your crotch, finding it kinda cute as you did, so you rubbed its head. As the slimes began coming closer to you, you were soon engulfed in the moving ooze of the hydro slimes. You felt your legs be pulled apart by what the fuck? The goo felt nice against your body. You felt your core warm. The slime seemed to have an aphrodisiac that soaked through your skin. That was a new one. Soon, your body filled with pleasure, and the slime that had been nudging against your crotch was beginning to push itself into your punani. The little slime pushed itself into your poon, causing you to moan loudly, making your walls tighten around the slime. The slime slowly moved through it, its gooey body pulsating as it moved through you. The hydro slime kept moving up until it hit your cervix, causing you to cramp, suddenly jerking you up against your slimy bonds. You felt yourself panting gently as the pain subsided and you felt a new pleasurable pain. The aphrodisiac getting stronger. Wait, what? The aphrodisiac was getting stronger as the slime pushes against your cervix, attempting to enter your womb. That was a different feeling than usual. Feeling a strange buildup in your stomach, the other hydro slimes began to pull you deeper into their embrace. You couldn't see it all right now, but you felt the slime go through your cervix and enter your womb. It now began to push and move around, making every moment cause an immense amount of pleasure due to the amount of aphrodisiacs in your system. You feel the slime expand, and you feel a few hard objects from inside of you. You couldn't handle it anymore, and you finally laughed. You weren't able to really tell what was going on, but you felt the oozing slime slowly pull itself out of you, leaving something behind in your womb. The slimes weren't done with you just yet, though, as more slimes arrived and joined the living ooze pile. Your head was completely inside of their ooze, and they began to make you open your mouth, feeling them shove slime into your mouth. They kept moving deeper, likely a form of nourishment into your body. They moved roughly around your throat, getting themselves prepared as you felt a splash of their fluid go down your throat into your stomach. Shortly after that, the slimes began to slink into the water and disappear. Panting gently as Albedo walked over to you, smiling, he helped you get up and got you redressed, praising you for how well you took the situation. He was proud of you for taking it so well, but with all the aphrodisiacs going through your system and the eggs the slimes had implanted into your womb, you probably wouldn't understand a word he says until the next morning. He took you back into the labs and, well, let's just say your sexual adventures didn't stop there tonight. Is this a series? Oh, Honeycomb Girl, you are a blessing to the fan fiction community. Oh, that's the only one she has. Well, that was the last one. Oh, I love... What is oviposition? I don't even know what that means. That was the fanfiction, A Breeding Test by Honeycomb Girl. If I must say, that was a masterpiece. I really enjoyed it. I like it quite so much. Oh, I love how the tag says, I'm going to hell. Unrealistic? I don't believe that. I think this is 100% realistic. I can see Albedo doing this. Unbirthing? Interesting. You know, this, I hope you guys aren't horny after this. That would be really embarrassing. But thank you for sitting here and listening to me just talk my way through this, and let me know what you think of it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!